For centuries, the ultimate prize of the medieval world sat right here, straddling the narrow strait between Europe and Asia. Constantinople was the political and economic choke point of the Eastern Mediterranean. Taking the city by force, however, was a completely different story. It was shielded by the Theodosian walls, a massive, multi-layered stone defense system that had successfully repelled invading armies and guarded the Roman legacy for 1,000 years. But in the 14th century, a new threat emerged. A Turkish tribe known as the Ottomans began a rapid, highly organized migration through Anatolia, absorbing smaller territories as they moved westward. This presented a severe military problem for the advancing Ottomans. Launching a direct frontal assault on Constantinople's legendary defenses was tactical suicide, guaranteed to bleed an army dry before they ever breached the inner gates. Achieving the impossible required a shift in military logic. The Ottomans realized they could not take the city by charging its walls. Instead, they would have to slowly suffocate it by conquering the world around it. Looking at this map, you can see the methodical campaign take shape. In 1326, Ottomans captured Bursa, wiping out Byzantine control in Asia Minor. From there, forces crossed into Europe, sweeping through Thrace to physically sever Constantinople's western land routes. By 1389, a pivotal Ottoman victory at the Battle of Kosovo broke the back of Serbian power. This permanently secured the Ottomans' European flank and eliminated the closest regional army capable of reinforcing the Byzantines. 7 years later, an alliance of Western European forces attempted to halt the Ottoman advance with a massive crusade at Nicopolis. They were utterly crushed. Over the course of a century, this steady territorial expansion stripped away all supporting lands. The Byzantine capital was left as an isolated, cut-off island within a vast Ottoman sea, rendering its massive walls essentially useless. Then, in 1402, the entire Ottoman project nearly collapsed. Timur, a fierce conqueror from the east, invaded Anatolia, shattering the Ottoman army and taking the reigning sultan prisoner. What followed was the interregnum, a brutal, decade-long civil war. Princes fought for the throne, bringing westward momentum to a halt. For the besieged Byzantines inside Constantinople, this catastrophic internal conflict provided a miraculous reprieve. The tightening noose loosened, but only temporarily. The Ottoman state eventually stabilized, and by 1451, a 21-year-old prodigy named Mehmed II ascended to the throne, determined to finish what his ancestors started. Mehmed executed a rigorous reorganization of the state military. He heavily funded the Janissary Corps, a highly disciplined elite standing infantry, turning them into a razor-sharp instrument of war. In May 1453, Mehmed deployed this refined military machine against Constantinople. Using overwhelming firepower and massive bronze cannons, his forces systematically pounded the ancient walls until they finally breached the defenses. The 1453 breach was the final snap of a century-long strategic trap, marking the violent conclusion of a campaign planned across generations. Upon taking the city, Mehmed II claimed it as his new capital, eventually known as Istanbul. But he also claimed a new title, Kaiser-i-Rum, or Roman Emperor. Instead of purging the local religious institutions, Mehmed granted religious autonomy and land protections to the Eastern Orthodox Patriarch, Gennadios. This was a brilliant political maneuver. By officially protecting the Orthodox Church, Mehmed masterfully exploited the bitter pre-existing schism between Eastern Orthodox Christians and Western Catholics in Rome. The local Byzantine population deeply preferred this arrangement over submitting to Western European religious authority. Their sentiment was perfectly captured in a famous remark from the era, "Better the Sultan's turban than the cardinal's hat." By integrating the Roman legacy into their own administration, the Ottomans transformed a military victory into a permanent geopolitical anchor, securing dominance in the Eastern Mediterranean for centuries.